p.m. Opening exercises, roll call.
Ahern,
Here.
Alexandrov,
Here.
Blazevich,
Here.
Engler,
Here.
Kostelnik,
Here.
Marshall,
Here.
Mattis,
Here.
White,
Here.
and DeCenzo.
Here. Public comment, hearing of the citizens.
Tony, the special, I got to read the special meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Board of Directors of the West Mifflin Area School District will hold a special meeting via Zoom on Monday, July 20th, 2020 at 4 p.m. prevailing time. The agenda and instructions how to view the meeting can be found at www.wmasd.org 24 hours prior to the meeting. The purpose of the meeting is for personnel issues and any other business that comes before the board.
Thank you, Mr. Esper. Hearing of the citizens, public comment. In order to provide public comment, the following must be met. Must include your name, home address in the email, must be a West Mifflin, Whitaker, or Duquesne resident. Matter must have been discussed through the proper education channels. Direct email comments to the board president and or superintendent. Mr. Esper.
The first comment is from Diane Stanasic. She did not include her address, but we do have that on record from previous comments. She writes, in my last conversation with the board president, he stated that there are two ways to get questions answered: by right to know or submit a question at the board meeting. Please answer my questions today. Contracting and purchasing. How much money is left in the construction fund 219 if the bids are coming in over 850, I think she meant thousand? How will we pay for it since we have no money? Number two, regarding the appraisal amount of $2,900, I say vote no because of the additional services other than those directly related to the production of the appraisal at $200 per hour. What are the additional charges?
I can explain that one. The additional charges would be if I have to have the appraiser attend court to testify. That's what the additional charges would be.
Joe, would you want to address her first question? We'll do it in order so we don't forget. We have what, 1.6 or so?
Yeah, one with the change order 1.5 and change, but there was more than enough money to cover 850,000.
Okay, thank you.
Election and appointment of superintendent. Nothing personal, but I say no because we need to learn to follow procedure. What if his current employer will not release him from his contract because of his current situation of the opening of the school year, and they may hold him for up to 90 days? Section number 2, section 1073.
Well, let me answer that one as
Okay.
we're going along, Mr. Esper.
Okay.
That certainly anybody can be held at different terms for different contracts and certain notices, requirements. There is a contingency for that. Mr. Solomon would continue on as acting superintendent unless another person would be named. And then there would be a transitional period until the new superintendent could take that position. That new superintendent could still freely communicate and work with Mr. Solomon and the rest of the administrative team in coordinating for the start of the school year. Just would obviously not be while he or she is also working in their current position.
Okay, number 2, section 1073 states that the secretary of the school board is to notify all board member with a list of 5 possible dates to choose for a special meeting. In addition, under that same school code, under B, the district did not follow appropriate procedure in voting to search for a replacement 90 days prior to Dr. Hoover's last day. It was voted on at the May 21st meeting to do a search for a replacement.
So I will say this, that's not the proper restatement of the school code. The school code is they have to give 5 days notice that we are taking action on the superintendent's position. I believe that Mr. Esper sent out notice to board members prior to today. The only issue would be that I don't believe we may not be voting on the superintendent tonight because other documentation needs to be completed before we can take that vote. But at this time, I'll wait until that portion of the agenda appears because I don't make that decision, the board does. But I will say that that's a mischaracterization of the school code. It's a 5-day notice to the board members. Clearly, all the board members here were well aware. They chose this date, it's my understanding, in an executive session meeting with our consultant, Dr. DiArcangelo, when they were discussing the candidates. It was in several notices and emails, I believe Mr. Blazevich provided to me, and as well as notice from Mr. Esper. So that is a mischaracterization. It's not 5 dates, it's 5 days that they have to have notice. And Mr. Esper sent that out well before 5 days, but
Okay, and finally, she states also is there a hiring of a volleyball coach? My understanding, there is someone willing to do the job, so it should be on the agenda.
Yeah, and I'll speak to that. We're going to handle that hiring under new business this evening. Unfortunately, we didn't get confirmation from the candidate until Mr. Esper had already posted the agenda within the 24-hour parameters that we set. So we're going to make a motion on new business to hire a volleyball coach.
I would just note too that I believe that the volleyball season and practice schedule is already up, and these students are waiting, as my understanding, for volleyball to start. And I believe this was the only person that has applied for that position. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, next comment is Stacy Domek, 2513 Jefferson Avenue, West Mifflin. Please do not paraphrase. I have a couple of questions about school reopening. First, how are you social distancing on the buses and in classrooms? Second, with remote learning, are the teachers going to be able to teach via video? Third, is there a plan to help the children with IEPs/504s? If so, what is the plan? With the deadline for remote learning being July 31st, I think parents need to be more informed to make this decision. This is about our children's future and education. Thank you, Stacy Domek.
Well, I can answer hopefully some of that. The pandemic team wants to address all the specifics through our health and currently we are in our last phase of the plan as we're trying to make some revisions to make sure that we're addressing everything, and it's the same as most of the local schools in the Area 5. And Area 5 is basically the Steel Center Consortium, Bethel Park, South Allegheny, Baldwin. So everybody in our little corner is doing the best to finish up. The district wanted to share the most specific and current information to date so that parents could have some idea of what the expectations are for August. And that's what the letter was written for a few days ago. The July 31st deadline was created for, that's actually for staffing purposes, just to make sure that if we had an abundance of one option or another, that we had enough time to make adjustments, for the best options for our students. But just a reminder that as we're working along with this, the plan is always fluid, and there might be some more adjustments coming from the state and the PDE itself. So we're moving as fast as possible with making sure that we're maximizing everything along the way.
All right, thank you, Mr. Solomon. Anything else, Mr. Esper?
Yeah, no, there's no more comments.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll move forward. Election and appointment of superintendent. I don't know.
Motion to table it.
Mr. Marshall makes a motion to table this motion.
A second.
Mr. Blazevich seconds. Do I have any questions or comments?
I'll just make a statement that there are some documentation that needs to be done appropriately and filled out completely before we move forward. We have taken this process very seriously. This board has done everything very thought out and very professional. And I would hate for us to not have everything exactly the way we want it before we would take action. We want to make sure whoever we bring in, we're bringing in with no questions left on the paperwork. So it was my recommendation to ask the board to possibly give us another week to get that sorted out. And I'm hoping that if the table goes through, that we would meet as soon as possible, Mr. DeSenza.
Okay, thank you. I think the board will attempt to. Again, we are all aware of the importance of this decision and getting this individual in the district as soon as possible, especially with the current circumstances. So I would like to think that we'll be able to schedule something for as early as next week to take action on this motion. And you know, I don't want to speak for everybody, but this is no way, shape, or form of indication or anything to Mr. Souls. You know, we want him in the district as soon as possible. This is more of a paperwork stuff that needs to be ironed out, but he's our guy and he's the selected candidate for a reason, and we're looking forward to getting him here as soon as possible. So I just wanted to clear anything out in the air that people might think that this is we're not sure on our selection, but that is not the case at all.
Additionally, I believe we have the contract, which I know was being circulated with the board. I issued another one today, and I believe Mr. Esper has a question about some insurance in one of the sections. So there's another reason that we need to reach out and speak with Mr. Schultz.
All right, so we need a roll call on that tabled motion, Mr. Esper.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Englert,
Yes.
Kostelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
and DeSenza.
Yes.
All
Board
right.
Secretary, Business Managers report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would respectfully request a motion second and approval on the following items. Item 4A, number 1 on page 1, Board of Directors. And since we didn't have a work session, obviously, for this, this is the board adopting all provisions of the CARES Act as it relates to retirement plans, 457 plans and 403B plans in the district. This gives greater flexibility to employees that may have been affected by COVID-19. You can make withdrawals without penalties. There's better loan provisions. This has been a request of the vendors that we have in the district. And if you happen to have a 403B and you're retired and over age 70 and a half, you don't have to take a minimum distribution. And that's the same for as a lot of retirement plans.
All right. Does anybody, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Kostelnik.
I have a quick question, Ton. I'm sorry.
Okay, second, hold on 1 second. Second by Mrs. White. Go ahead, Gina.
In regards to the contracting in section B, have we removed the wall, Sandy?
I don't think we got to there. We didn't get to there yet, Gina.
I apologize.
Yeah, no problem.
We're
just on A1 right now. That's all.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or comments for 4A1? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Englert,
Yes.
Kostelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
and DeSenza.
Yes.
Okay, item 4B, purchasing and contracting, numbers 1 and 2 on page 1. So number 1 is, if you recall, we did approve the, we passed a motion, I think it was back in January, to task our solicitors with finding a company to do an appraisal. I spoke with Krisha, and just to be as transparent as possible, because there's a dollar amount now that we know, even though we had given them approval, we thought it would be prudent to put this back on the agenda. And Chris just spoke to the $200 an hour fee that's mentioned in the motion.
And obviously, to do the appraisal, we needed an inspection of the building, and we couldn't do that during COVID. So, if we would pass this and everyone could see the agreement, then Ms. Wells and Mr. Esper and I would go meet the appraiser.
Okay, and number 2, it's a board approve an agreement with ABM Solutions LLC for phase 4 of the district construction project in the amount not to exceed $850,000 for various district projects as presented, as per budget as presented. The board, I did send a list of a breakdown of all those projects. Would you like me to go over them briefly, Mr. President?
I mean, I think you could highlight them. I mean, we've all discussed this at length.
Okay.
I mean, if you wanted to highlight them, that's fine, and just rattle them off, Joe. That's appropriate.
Yeah, that would be painting the gym walls in the high school main gym and auxiliary gym, redoing all the bathroom partitions in Claire Barton, as well as the tile floors in all the bathrooms, demolishing and replacing the walls, wall and sidewalk steps outside of Claire Barton, placing gutter guards on all the roofs at Homeville, completing, there's 2 classrooms that are going to be renovated, and yeah, so that would be 2 classroom renovations, and then concrete sidewalks at the high school stadium, and that have shifted and are now dangerous, and paving the parking lot outside the maintenance garage.
Okay. Who I have a motion?
This is my question. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Does that include the 2 classrooms at Homeville that are being the music room that's being turned into 2 classrooms?
That's 3. There's 3
So
classrooms.
it's 3, and then the basement.
It includes all 3 of them.
So that's all 3 of them. Okay. And have we removed the wall from Homeville from the scope right now?
We removed it for right now, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
It includes the wall at Clara Barton.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody? Hold on one second. Hold on,
Yeah.
just so we go in order. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Blazevich.
Second.
Second by Mr. Alexandrov. Any questions or comments? Mrs. White?
Yes, I have a question. That wall, Mr. Alexandrov at Claire Barton, how big is that and how are they repairing it?
I believe it's the wall around, is that the wall around the kindergarten?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking you. How big
Well,
is
so
it?
I'm asking Sandy, I'm assuming it's the wall around the kindergarten. And it's only about, right now it's about 5 feet high. If it knocks down, it can only be about 2 or 3 feet high. It's from 1958.
And how are they repairing it?
They're totally taking it down, as well as the steps, and redoing the steps and the entire wall at Clara Barton.
Okay, thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome.
Have we fixed the concrete at Homeville yet?
No, that's going to get done when they do the stadium.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sandy, is there going to be, I know some parents, and we had discussions with Dr. Hoover about in Homeville maybe blocking out that storage area as you go down into the basement that has the gates in front of it, maybe just put drywall and a door up just so, you know, some kids, it feels like, you know, they're going down into a dungeon or whatever, some parents.
It's not addressed in this contract, but we can do it ourselves. I didn't know that, but we can certainly look into doing that.
Well, just to make the both of the little maze down there a little bit nicer and more welcoming.
And they are putting a door through the wall in that one area. We looked at that, so they are planning on putting a wall through so that the teacher could walk right through into the other classroom.
They were going to paint or hang stuff up too, I believe. Weren't they doing a mural or
Yes.
something down there?
Yes, Gina, when we went on that tour, yes, that exactly. They were going to make that look, what do you say, prettier. However they could do it. That's what they were going to do.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right, roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Englert,
Yes.
Kostelnik,
Yes to B1, no to B.
You hold on 1 second, Joe. Deb, you muted yourself before
Oh,
you
sorry.
finished talking.
Let me do it again. Yes to B1, no to B2.
okay, Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
No to B2, yes to B1.
and DeCenzo.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. President, B1 passed on a 9-0 vote. B2 passed on a 7-2 vote.
Thank you. Professional personnel.
You're on mute, Jeff.
Mr. President, would you like me to do that?
Yes, please.
Okay, professional personnel. A1, we have one hiring. It's recommended the board approve Anna Kudla to the position of 8th grade science teacher at the middle school effective the 2020-2021 school year. Ms. Kudla will be placed on the master scale step 1 and receive all the benefits entitled to a professional teaching employee.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Mattis, second by Mrs. Kostelnik. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Englert,
Yes.
Kostelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
DeCenzo.
Yes.
Number 6, non-certified personnel. There's one resignation. It's recommended board approve, ratify the resignation of Deborah Braddock, part-time paraeducator at Homeville Elementary.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Ahern,
Second.
second by Mrs. White. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Englert,
Yes.
Kostelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
and DeCenzo.
Yes. Hirings, transfers.
Mr. President, we have two hiring transfers. Number 1 is the assignment transfer of Stephen Arbisak, Class 2A head custodian at Clara Barton Elementary from the 7 to 3 shift. He will be transferring to a Class 2B general maintenance worker with the shift effective Monday, July 27th. Mr. Arbisak has been the senior qualified bidder for the position. The second one is the recommend board approve Joanne Phillip, Homeville Elementary, SEIU Class 1 Secretary to the posted position of Admin Building Class 2 Secretary, Buildings and Grounds Information Technology Federal Programs, and that'll be effective July 27th. Ms. Phillip was the senior qualified bidder for that position too.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Ahern,
Second.
second by Mrs. Englert. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Englert,
Yes.
Kostelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
and DeCenzo.
Yes.
7, athletic personnel. There are 5 resignations. 2 are for the high school marching band and 3 are for the football program.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mattis,
Second.
second by Mr. Blazevich. Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Englert,
Yes.
Kostelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
and DeCenzo.
Yes.
B is hirings. There's 3 hirings tonight. The first one is for Brian Mann, the position of high school varsity cross country coach. The second is for Angelina Barafio to position of high school varsity assistant girls soccer coach. And the third one is Mike Todd to the position of high school 7th assistant varsity football coach.
Do I have a motion?
I have a question.
Yes.
How many football coaches do we have if we're hiring for a 7th assistant?
Oh, that's negotiated through the teacher's contract, Mrs. Englert. So that spells that out there. I don't have that information in front of me, but if there's no way that they could add additional ones, if that's what you're wondering, that all those spots are slated via the bargaining agreement.
Okay, my next question too is, do we have a middle school volleyball coach?
I'm not, I couldn't answer that. I would assume we did. I don't recall ever, did one recently resign? Is that why you're?
Well, we don't, nobody knows.
Okay, well.
But being that you guys are on, Mr. Alexandrov, and you're all on an athletic committee, I didn't know if you would know.
Well, there is one currently. We never accepted a resignation, or she never quit, or we never fired her. So yeah, there's a volleyball coach, a middle school volleyball coach.
Is it somebody I can contact?
Sure, yeah.
Do you know who is it exactly?
Is her name Ashley? Starts with a D, I believe. DeSandra, or is that correct? Is anybody? Delisandra. There you go. I apologize. It escaped me. Yeah, I believe. Yeah. I mean, she was it prior, so
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I just have a question, Tony.
Yes.
So it says 7th football coach, but there aren't 7 assistant football coaches, right? There's because in the human resources plan that we have, there's only up to 5 assistants. So I'm assuming that's just a terminology that we're not adding additional staff to the football team.
I don't believe we have that authority to do that. Krisha, I mean, that's contractual. So.
Correct. So we can only have what's in the supplemental contract. And so we would only have that many. Now you could have a volunteer position,
yeah,
but they're not paid unless they're in that supplemental.
Correct. So I mean, maybe
there is a lot with football. I know because there is the coordinators and all of that. But I believe if there's only 5 in the contract, then we can only pay 5. We are not permitted to go beyond.
Okay. So we're only allowed to. So if it says there's 5 slots for 5 assistants at the $5,848, then there's only 5 slots for that price. And this could be one of those, but we're not sure. I only worry just because it looks like this is the same person that resigned from the middle school assistant football coach is now looking to move to the high school, which is great. I just want to make sure that I understand what I'm voting for or what it entails.
Yeah.
I
want to make sure there's coverage. Do we have a middle school coach now? Do we have a volleyball coach for the middle school?
And I would make the motion not to exceed the number of assistants provided for in the contract as well.
You're going to add that to the motion?
Yeah.
See that Omar White stepped down as a coach, so Mr. Todd's filling in his role.
Okay.
And there's going to be the middle school position. I don't think has been posted yet. So that would probably be something we vote on in the next meeting.
I see. I got
it. Said Omar White was the 3rd assistant, though, and this is a 7th assistant.
They number you folks get 1, 2, 3, and 4 how we hire them, and then he was a 3rd assistant. Now he stepped away, and I would assume that the anarchy or whatever would just go up because now he would be the coach with the lowest experience on that staff.
I see. That's helpful. Thank you, Mr. Marshall. I didn't put 2 and 2 together with the resignation and then the hiring.
But we shouldn't have 7 assistants.
You could have 30. You could have 30 assistants, Mrs. Mayheart, paid. Yes.
I meant paid.
Correct. If in fact he's the 7th assistant, maybe somebody, if they haven't already, should notify him that he's probably not getting paid. If the contract
That was
states,
my concern.
yeah,
we
if
vote on it.
if the contract states that there's only 5 paid assistant coaches, then that's all that we pay.
Yeah, okay.
And
So
Mr.
should we
Dayharn,
not-
it may be listed that way so that he's coming in as 7, because if you were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're getting paid.
Got it. Thank you.
So,
Anybody
Tom,
else?
was there a motion in a
There
second?
wasn't a motion.
Okay, yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second.
second by Mr. Mattis. Roll call.
Aaron,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Englert,
Yes.
Kostelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
and DeCenzo.
Yes.
Mr. President, that concludes my report.
All right. Do I have anything under new business, or I'm sorry, old business? New business?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to hire Glenn Googler as the girls varsity high school volleyball head coach. Need a,
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Ahern. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Englert,
Yes.
Kostelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
yes.
White,
Yes.
and DeCenzo.
Yes. Is there any other new business? All right. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. White,
Second.
second by Mr. Blazevich. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.